Oh, I don't know.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Well, no one got it, and I didn't either, and it didn't work. But John laughed hysterically at it, so that's good stuff. All right.
Oh, maybe that is what it was.
Good stuff, John. Very funny.
A good joke is one that needs to be explained a bunch.
Yes. So more interviewing Jim Norton here.
And do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't. I'm actually. It's like a running joke. I'll say I'm single and I love to mingle, and people laugh. But it's. But no, I do not.
Because it's so weird. Like I stopped drinking for like 2 weeks.
That's it.
But it was so. And then
Did you like it?
Well, here's the thing. I was dating like a 26-year-old,
And they want to party.
And for the first time in like 20 years, I had sex without even having a buzz. I lasted like 30 seconds.
Wow.
But which is so. I guess when you drink, your like dick gets numb from the alcohol. I couldn't believe how
Gives
bad
you a
I
little more
was.
stamina?
Yeah.
Listen to this idiot interviewing Jim on his own show, acting like an asshole, laughing at his own just jokes, so-called jokes. Guy's a douchebag.
So I went back to drinking immediately.
Yeah, there you go.
John quit drinking for 2 weeks, had sex with a girl, and premature ejaculated, and decided this ain't for me. Sober life ain't for me. I'm going back to drinking again.
At least he has a reason.
The other thing he said.
So 2 weeks and 35 years. Wow, what a genius.
There. He hadn't had sex without a buzz on in 20 years.
That's a long time.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
You never had morning sex or afternoon sex. I understand you get drunk every night. We all understand that. But that's a weird thing to admit, especially a man who was married for a lot of that time.
What he meant to say was he hasn't had sex in 20 years.
That he's talking about.
His self-deprecation doesn't come off as funny.
Right. No, it's just telling, and you're just like, oh
sad.
no, don't say that. That's awful.
Yeah.
Not good at all. So then they get into his marriage, and they want to know, well, why'd your marriage end, John?
As they say, we grew apart.
Yeah, but that's true, right?
Yeah.
When did you know it was finished?
I mean, I'm more still the party guy, and then she became more of
An adult.
yes.
Let's say it. She's an adult.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. Right there. Oh, yeah, so why you guys grew apart? What was going on? Yeah, I still act like I'm in a frat, and she's a responsible adult with children that she's raising. So, very quick by Dave right there. Good group in the studio.
Great group.
Around John with Jim and Dave. Now, what John's going to say here, this is a very key part of this program, because he reveals something he definitely should not reveal about his own son and his own family. This is going back to 2015. Susanna is dating Aaron, who's now her husband. Mm-hmm. At the time they were dating. And I can't believe that John's so stupid he would say this.
You guys cool now that you got kids? For the kids?
I still love the woman as a friend, but and my son is really hates the fact that and she's got a boyfriend and my son doesn't like him and and all that.
Why doesn't your son like him? Is it racial?
he is half black actually, but no, it's so funny because my son's with me and then he's like. And then he's like, I don't like the boyfriend, and I'm like, why? And he goes, why do you think?
Yeah,
he's so
Really?
smart. He's
How
9
old
years
is he?
old.
Oh, okay.
9.
My son doesn't like my wife's new boyfriend. I go and get lunch with him, and he tells me he doesn't like him. Why would you say that on a national radio show?
He's 9.
That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
To give that kind of information out. It's the kind of shit that harassment restraining orders are built on.
Yeah.
Ask Aaron Imholt about that. What a piece of shit John is.
And I'm not even convinced that it's true, but it doesn't matter.
Well, he's taking a shot at Aaron one way or the other.
No,
it's true
I
or not
realize
true.
that, but
Honestly, if it's not true, that's a horrific thing to say. If it is true, that's a horrific thing to say.
yeah.
Because then you're throwing Oscar under the bus. Like, this kind of shit gets back to her. And then Aaron's going to be like, Oscar, have a seat, man. Talk to
God.
me. What's going on? What am I doing? What could I be doing better? And I said, what the fuck? What did my dad say? Oh, he just told a couple million people that you don't like me.
Yeah.
That's nuts. He's stupid.
It's in very poor taste.
It's in very poor taste to do that. And then John doubles down on Oscar not liking Aaron. And spoiler, Oscar loves Aaron.
Yes.
I watched the wedding speeches. Oscar loves his stepdad. So this could be John wishful thinking. I know John doesn't like Aaron. We've heard him slip up on that. Mm-hmm. So this is
more of John's delusional lies, fantasies, and craziness that he has in his head that he wants to be real.
John doubling down.
No, I thought it was so funny that young kid that already like know the obvious. Come on, Dad.
Are you
obvious.
jealous?
What?
Of the boyfriend or no?
No.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No. It's like, I'm dating like 26-year-olds. Do I really care who's driving the old car now? I have the new one,
Wow.
Okay.
Jeez.
I don't need to get all sentimental.
That's just another.
Listen to John's voice. He's not the same douchebag that he is now. Unbelievable. See what alcohol did to you, stupid? Fucking asshole.
Shitty thing to say about your ex-wife, and John's the best at that. I got a new car. I had a 26-year-old. He's so proud of himself.
He said 26-year-olds, plural,
Oh, I know.
which
He's getting all the young girls.
I definitely don't believe.
No, of course not. Especially if he's ejaculating in 30 seconds. How long are these girls sticking around for this? It's ridiculous. Oh, you stink. You don't clip your toenails and you premature ejaculate? Neat. When's our next date? Can't wait for that. Did you notice? This is what I'm not understanding. Where his son says to him, I don't like Aaron, Susanna's boyfriend. John goes, why not? He's like, why do you think? Listen to this again at the beginning of this clip.
No, I thought it was so funny that young kid that already like know the obvious. Come on, Dad.
Are you
obvious.
jealous?
Know the obvious. Is he implying that he's like a way better guy?
That's what made me think he was lying about this because
Yeah, he didn't really
a
have an
kid that
explanation.
young would know the obvious, which really just kind of reflects back onto John because he thinks it's the obvious thing.
Yeah, is that what it is? Because I'm like, what is it? Why would Oscar not like his mom's boyfriend? Seems like a great guy from everything I've heard about him. I mean, I saw a bunch of different wedding speeches, and everyone's like crazy about this guy.
Seems like a great man.
They think he's amazing, and they think he's amazing compared to the other guy.
It's more of John's fantasy lies.
Who lived in the house before him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's crazy about it. Not only is Aaron an amazing guy, but if you compare him to the biological father, allegedly the biological father, he's way, way better. So I don't know. Maybe John did make all of that up, and that's a weird thing to say, again, on a national radio show, especially if you made it up.
I was under the impression that it was a complete lie, only because I know that he lies a lot.
The other thing that John does is when he's interviewing the host of the show, he'll bring up things that no one can see. This is a radio show. It's not a video show. So remember when he was on that show in Iowa, he was talking about the guy who had the prosthetic leg, and he's like, he kept asking him about that, and the guy's like, John, yeah, I had a prosthetic leg. I mean, he's like, oh, you always leave it right there? You got a sneaker on it? It's like, no one can see what you're talking about. So he does the same thing with Jim Norton right here.
What was this all about, Jim?
If I'm chewing something, I hold the microphone up so I don't. But I hold it so I can pull it down quickly.
love
Sometimes
that.
I have a zinger, and I want to.
You don't have that cough button?
They don't
No.
like us eating on air. They
So I won't
fucking
know.
hate it.
There's a lot of times I eat, they don't know I'm eating. I actually hold the mic way above me.
We try really hard not to eat on air, but what the fuck?
See, I'll just fire out a zinger, like that you won't even know I got food in my mouth.
Why even bring it up? So Jim's holding the microphone away from his mouth, and he's eating his breakfast, which you heard.
Because John is stupid. He doesn't understand what Jim's doing. Mr. Radio. I'm a famous radio guy.
it right there. Management doesn't want him to do. So John's calling it out, calling attention to it. We don't know that's happening. No one listening gives a shit about it. And John's just a child who's just making general observations around the room.
I know. And I couldn't tell if he was trying to get Jimmy in trouble
No, he just doesn't have anything to talk about.
Well, then don't say anything.
I know. So this is very interesting right here. We start talking about Anthony Cumia. As I said, this happened in February 2015. Anthony was fired in July of 2014. So just 6 or 7 months has passed. And John wants to know, hey, what's the deal with that Anthony guy who used to be a part of this show?
All right, let me ask the question that
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Opie is this. So now Anthony's not here anymore.
No.
So what happened?
That's a very good question. It's very complicated.
Well, fuck, I talked about
We
Stern.
did, no, we.
Well, much like your marriage, it was time to move on. And
They have a son together.
we had a very complicated relationship. To be honest with you, we didn't talk much off air for many years.
And why is that?
I don't know. We just changed as people, I guess. I don't hate the guy or anything.
But then he got fired because of what happened?
For his tweeting.
Yeah, and the
company was very upset about it, and when he connected a little violence to his tweets, they felt, don't fucking kill me for saying this, they felt.
John wants to hear him say. He said racist things. That's what John wants to hear, but he ain't saying it. So John is again stupid.
Like he had to go.
And did you fight for him?
Of course, I don't even listen to those fucking assholes. Of course we did.
Oh, okay.
Of course
That's the only question. No, that's the only question because I was on the show yesterday, and then he was like he didn't know if you went. If
He
you,
knows. He knows.
Oh, really?
He's very good at pushing buttons and keeping things going.
So
He knows. He knows we fought for him.
Okay. There's a few things I want to talk about with this. First is Opie. Because as you know, we've done a lot of deep dives into Opie and his relationship with Anthony and whether or not he went to bat for Anthony. And he doesn't do himself any favors. When John was just on Anthony's show prior to this, and Anthony was alluding to the fact that, yeah, when I got fired from Sirius, Opie didn't have my back. He didn't go to management, try to save my job or anything like that, which is what Anthony believes is the case. And the reason why he believes that is because every single time it's brought up, Opie goes, we needed a break anyway. We grew apart. We didn't talk anymore. I could tell he was already building a studio in his house. He was ready to move on. It makes it seem like Opie was the one who was ready to move on and didn't go to bat for Anthony. That's the first thing he says when asked, did you go to bat for him? Listen, the show was ending anyway. We were probably not going to go another contract round. Mm-hmm. But then he also says, but yeah, I totally went to management. I said, no, you can't fire him. He's lying.
I agree.
Right. But then John says, yeah, I know about the tweet and the thing, which is very interesting to me. Because when I talked to John the first time that him and I had our back and forth Skull versus the Troll episode, which is a fantastic episode, I have to tell you.
It is.
I taught John how to tune his guitar. Actually, no one could do that. I wasn't able to pull that off. But in this episode, I called John out for going on Anthony's show knowing that he got fired for these insensitive tweets. I go, John, times, and you know he got fired from SiriusXM. And so you just heard him there in 2015 going, yeah, I know that. Now, listen to what he said when I was asking him about this very same thing going back last year to my interview with John.
Minor.
I don't care. That's not that has nothing to do with me.
You don't give a fuck, and you'll go on Anthony Cumia's show, who's fucking staunch racist, a staunch.
You went on his show 9 times, and you wanted to be his co-host.
I never knew it.
Yes, you did. You knew everything that was going on. You didn't know why he was fired from Sirius?
No.
You're gonna lie to me right now? Oh, that's a lie. Busted. Why do you think he was fired from Sirius?
I didn't even know he was fired from Sirius.
John is a midget, swollen-faced liar. He's full of shit, this guy. And you can tell when he's lying. You can always tell. With his page boy haircut, his giant jowls, swollen head from drinking, wet brain, stupid-ass motherfucker.
Oh, he didn't even know he was fired from Sirius. Wow. That's weird. 'Cause he was in the studio 7 months later asking about him.
Look at those broad shoulders on this little midget. Mr. Tough Guy wants to fight everyone. What a retard. A retard.
Getting fired from Sirius.
Yeah, he did know.
Sounds like he did know. Huh. What? That's my reaction from back then. If you're listening right now, it gets confusing when I'm watching myself. Oh, now you're definitely lying, John.
Okay, Carl.
You didn't know he was fired from the Opie
Carl.
Anthony show. Did you think he just left? He's just like, you know what? This thing where I make $2 million
Carl.
a year working for
Carl,
Sirius
I know
XM,
you
I don't
think
want to do
that
this
I'm-
anymore.
I know you think that I'm as obsessed with this dabble bullshit than
No,
You
you
are,
were
but
obsessed
not.
with working with Anthony because you told people that
No,
you were going to be the
I
co-host.
fucking had no idea about any of the shit about Anthony. I didn't. I
It's
know
not true.
Opie.
Bullshit, John. You were trying to get everyone to say he's a racist because that's what you want to believe. A real successful guy, not like you, fantasy successful, idiot loser.
Anthony, what I had thought was Opie and Anthony got into a fight, and then Anthony was somehow gone. I never knew what the details were.
Now, time. What a fucking liar.
He is a liar because I knew that. You knew that.
Yeah.
Anybody that listens to the show know that. Anybody that's in the business is going to know that. If he's in the business, which he claims to be,
He was on both of their shows.
And he was on
multiple
both of their
times since
shows.
then talking about it.
You lie.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
I wish you weren't a liar.
So that's proof that John definitely did lie to me, which I called at the time, obviously. But John loves to play dumb. I didn't know. I just assumed they had a falling out. Proof that he knew.
oh, he likes to play dumb and be dumb.
Yes. And this is more of Opie kind of disproving his own point that he went to bat for Anthony after Anthony was fired.
And when he got fired, we literally talked for 5 minutes, and there was no conversation about even fucking continuing.
Yeah.
I think it was just time to just take a break for now.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, that's a
so
long.
When people say you don't have loyalty, that's such 20 years is loyalty, you idiots. We
No,
have.
I didn't. I'm just asking.
No, I'm not mad at you
I mean,
at
I
all.
don't care if you're disloyal.
Can't you see John's looking for a job?
Yes, I am.
John brought his rolling bag.
How about the Opie, John, and Jim show? It was.
I love that. He gets called out for it.
The Opie, John, and Jim show.
Yeah, Dave's like, can't you tell him that he's just looking for a job? John's like, yeah, I'll take a job. Anyone offering jobs? I'll take a job
And he won't even
offer.
give himself third billing.
Well,
He was-
John cannot get a job in entertainment for the last 20, 25 years. Nothing. Nobody wants him. He's a loser. He's not funny. He's not talented. He just got lucky. Everything was handed to him. Because he didn't earn it, it went away. It had no value because he got it all for nothing. Dumbass.
Jimmy laughs.
yeah, I know. It's so stupid. Well, he's from the Howard Stern show, John. You have to understand.
He's a middler.
He's much more important than everyone else. All right. Coming up, there's more of John begging for jobs and more of Jim Norton proving his superiority as far as radio goes. But I want to thank the people who are hanging out here, especially DPM, who's calling me out. The Dabbleverse is dying. This SJ Wayback Machine shtick won't save you. Back to the cubicle, Carl. Back to scrubbing toilets. Jenny, do you think that Jenny Jingles scrubs toilets? Do you think I didn't have an office? I was a partner at the company, sir. How dare you? Michael C. His family situation very much at all.
Where you living now?
Upper West.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How
And,
many kids you got?
2.
Oh, cool.
So just to finish though,
We're doing a show here, John. We're not getting caught up on the families right now. I don't think Opie really wants to talk about his family situation and where he lives. He's had some issues with that.
Yeah.
But John doesn't know how to do a show. He wants to be talking. He wants to be a part of it. He wants to prove that he can be a part of it. In fact, this idea comes up because Opie and Anthony have not done a show together at this point yet. And so there's talk about, like, what kind of reunion could you do? Would you guys ever get on a show together and do something together? And I think maybe Dave comes up with this idea, and John's all over it.
I think you need a neutral party to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. John,
Yes.
I think you would be a great.
John, I think I
you
would
would be
be
a great
perfect.
Jimmy Carter for this one.
yeah, I heard you guys get along really well. We're getting along, it
Yeah,
seems.
yeah.
So
No,
maybe you should be the guy.
Well, I you know what? Can I do it?
Sit down somewhere in Staten
I'll be
Island,
the
something
mediator.
Northern
It'll be-
Italian.
No, it'll be perfect.
We'll bring Artie Lang in, and
yeah.
we'll figure out all sorts of problems.
David Tell keeps playing cards until that guy goes home.
No, that would be great. We should. I can mediate the whole thing.
Right.
Did you hear that? He got so excited right there. He's like, yeah, that's it. I can be the mediator. You guys, we should do this. And then you guys can pay me the money to be the mediator. It's going to be my new job that I do. That's the third different job he's looked for so far on this episode. We're 23 minutes in.
Did he get one?
I don't think he ever got one.
I didn't
I'm pretty
think so.
sure. But he's looking for acting gigs from Louis C.K. He's looking to be the second mic on this show, not even the third mic. And now he wants to be the mediator when Opie and Anthony have their reunion
That would be awful.
to hash it out. And it doesn't even make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't.
This is the guy worked for Howard Stern, never listened to Opie and Anthony, knows nothing about them. Years later, claims he didn't even know that Anthony was fired from Sirius XM. He's going to sit there and be the mediator for this. But it was brought up, so he's just like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Where do I sign? Where's the contract?
He's a go-getter.
And then John makes it all about him because for just a little while, they stopped talking about John because Opie's explaining how he was ready to be done with Opie and Anthony in 1989 because him and Ant had a falling out. They weren't friends anymore. So they brought in Jim. And then Jim Norton was kind of the glue that held the show together. And John can't just sit there and listen to this story. He's got to include himself into it.
So,
You know, Jim was on my
young
first
kid-
tour.
Huh?
You know, Jim was on my first tour.
I was. That's how I met John.
I did not know that.
Jimmy was on the first Stuttering John and Friends tour. It was me, Jimmy, and Modi.
Modi, okay.
And Melrose Larry
Right.
Green.
I know John longer than you guys.
Cool. Cool story, dude. And he had to drop all the other names in there. He does that a lot in this episode. He
Yeah.
talks about Jim Florentine texting him during the show.
Emotional about it. I mean, how are they getting the King's speech? They were declaring war on Germany.
How are they ever going to know you're having a stroke?
Yes. All right. Opie with a decent line there because he has had a couple of strokes. Do you see how worked up he gets that no one wants to drink beer anymore?
Yeah.
And I thought that was very telling where Jim's just like, yeah, we're getting older. You know, John, we're not in our 20s anymore. We're all trying to be professional comics, so we're not just like getting wasted. And John, that just sends him on a rant about it. What's up with everyone?
Where's your loyalty to beer?
Yeah, and it's very telling because now when he starts talking about alcohol, you really see, and we talked about it earlier, where he can't have sex without being drunk. He tried it once after 20 years. It didn't work out, so I'll never do that again. And so John is going to talk more and more about how he needs alcohol and everyone else should need alcohol as well. But first, it's time for John to tell a Howard Stern story. You know, he's asking all about Opie and Anthony. It's like, what about Howard Stern? Tell us about Howard Stern. And so John pulls this out of his ass. It's a story no one's ever heard before. Behind the scenes stuff from him on the Howard Stern show. Amazing that he would bring this up. I can't believe he doesn't talk about it more.
Because we were on the air and like Howard was giving us all crap for all the Christmas gifts. And then I went in there and I said, Howard, one time for Christmas, you sent us a canister with three different kinds of popcorn. And that was our Christmas present. It was like 3 different kinds of popcorn and like a canister with a name on it.
I would have liked that.
Oh, the popcorn story. Wow, what a treat. I'm going to go on the Opie and Jim show and talk about the popcorn story for the millionth fucking
Again.
time. And none of them were having it. They're just like, yeah, that sounds like a fine gift. It's whatever. But he goes on. I didn't want to play this whole thing for you. We've all heard it a million times. He goes on and on about the popcorn story, how cheap Howard was for giving popcorn. So then this leads to Jim and Opie talking about giving gifts to each other for Christmas. And again, Jim is he's playing a different game than John.
Yeah.
John's just not figuring out what's going on here at all.
We got to give gifts again. Me and you,
I don't
Jimmy.
mind.
Jimmy is good at giving gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave me an Apple gift certificate.
That's right.
I still haven't used that.
You should use it.
I'm going to
Money
use it.
hard.
For how much?
3,000.
Really?
No.
Good for you, Jimmy.
Anytime John hears something that he's like, wow, $3,000, that sounds like a lot. Really? Really? They're already told they were Opie's laughing.
That's right.
I still haven't used that.
You should use it.
I'm going to
Money
use
hard.
For how much?
3,000.
Really?
No.
Good for you, Jimmy.
John is so stupid.
Well,
He's so gullible.
he's naive.
He's naive. He doesn't understand how comedy works. He's never been on a show like the Opie and Anthony show. Very different. You know, Howard likes to say they're copycats. A very different show
Yeah.
than the Howard Stern show. Everyone's so quick and everyone's just in there with all these things. And John just can't keep up. He's just like, what? It's like watching a ping pong match. You remember that Kids in the Hall
Yes.
That's John watching this at the show. What's going on? All right. So John's ready to trash Gary Delabate, Baba Booey.
He loves doing that.
He loves trashing Gary Delabate. And Opie has been doing radio since he's 18. He's got some instincts here that kick in.
Listen, do I trust Gary? No.
All right, good.
And I'll tell you the greatest Gary story. Because
Is this bad? Is this bad? Is this?
see, that's what I don't want to do because
I
I'm gonna
don't
end up
know.
giving-
I'm just curious.
I see,
And we just
honestly,
happen to be doing it with microphones on. I could get the answer off air, and I'd be just as.
I like that Opie just like, should we be talking mad shit about Gary Delabate right now behind the scenes stuff? Like, probably not. He works down the hall from us.
He's still got to be in the building with him.
Yeah, probably not I see him on the elevator once or twice a month. Like, that's probably not the best idea to do that. And Opie's just like, yeah, I'll take your answer off the air. I'll hang up and take your answer. It's like, I actually am just genuinely curious. You don't have to actually talk about it on the show. There was another part, I didn't clip it, where they were having a conversation during the commercial break. And then John asked Opie a question, and Opie goes, well, I told you that off the air, but okay, since you asked again. You know, it's just like, John doesn't understand how any of this works. Doesn't understand the dynamics here of how to be a successful radio personality. And I hate to say it, John is so bad that he makes
Just how to be a successful personality. Forget radio. This guy doesn't know anything about anything. He's a drunken asshole.
Opie look good.
I thought so too.
It happened when Opie went on John's show, Beer on the Balcony. It was my Super Bowl.
Yes.
I think we had Gino on the show. Heather W. showed up. That was an amazing episode that we had. And in my Super Bowl, you have these two assholes talking to each other. And Opie outclassed John. Because John is a retard.
Well, Opie is off. He's not great when he's alone.
No, he's terrible.
But in the studio, at least he has some decorum.
You know who else does a good show when Jim Norton and Dave Attell are there? Everyone! That's a pretty easy gig right there. If I'm starting up a show and I'm looking across to Jim and Dave, I'm going, all right, well, today's going to be a pretty good show. I don't have to do much heavy lifting out here. This will be good. I've mentioned this before. John is a stutterer, but only when he's nervous. He's actually just a nervous wreck, is what he is.
He seemed more worked up this time than I heard him in a while.
He's in a job interview.
He's not a stutterer. He's a gagger. He has gag reflex problems and compulsion problems. You never heard anybody stutter like this guy. He chokes on words. He's like South Park, chokes on dicks.
Yeah.
So he's very nervous about this appearance. And John, at this point, doesn't really stutter anymore. They talk about that a little bit early on in the segment. And so John doesn't really stutter that much. And we've brought this up on the show a few times, that John would stutter around celebrities. John would stutter in front of Howard Stern. He's nervous. He starts to stutter and stammer. This is a great example of nervous John. That's old school right there.
It was.
Wow. That's like old Howard Stern show stuttering, John. Got to keep that on the board. That's fun. I like that. All right, so John tells the story. So he's back in New York.
Yeah.
And he's doing the rounds. He was on Anthony's show. He's doing Opie and Jim. And of course, he reached out to Howard. He's like, well, hey, I'm going to be in town. If you want to have me on the show. I thought this was very fun.
I asked, I don't know, because then I emailed Gary before I came out here, and I said, hey, you know, I don't know if you want, but I should do, if I was going to do a show, it should be Howard's show first, obviously. Right. And I said, oh, and I heard you were at Billy Joel, and I was there too. And then he wrote back, yeah, wasn't Billy great? Didn't mention anything about me doing the show. So,
yep, take the hint, asshole. It's ridiculous you would even bring it up, because at this time, 2015, this is the Marcy Turk era, they're not having Gilbert Gottfried on, let alone stuttering John Melendez. They're having A-list celebrities, mostly women, that no one cares about.
Right. I mean, that's when the show started to not be my cup of tea.
That's when the show deserted their audience, because Howard decided he hated his audience, and he thought they were all racists and frat guys and stuttering John people. He wanted nothing to do with it. He wanted to distance himself from that.
Well, the other thing too is even from listening to Living in the Past, or we're doing that.
Yes, Living in the Past with Stuttering John is a series that we're doing on our Patreon where we're going back listening to John's episodes. He's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. So we played that, and then for whatever reason, John found the clip of it on Hackverse or Shuley's Anonymous or one of these places and played that so that Rob could respond to it. So we get Rob's response, get his excuse for it. So we'll be playing that in just a second. But first, I want to thank my man, Penis Wrinkle. $5 says, SJ loves to not know. Wait until Rob Saul betrays him.